We're going to be looking at modern multi-factor authentication with a focus on 3 methods. For each of the methods, we're going to go into what it is, how it stands up to phishing, the cause behind 90% of data breaches, and any other points worth touching on. Our first multi-factor authentication method we're going into is time-based one-time passwords. Enter Alice. Alice is logging onto her company's portal. She's on a new browser, so needs to sign in again, and is redirected to the single sign-on endpoint, which after signing in with her email and password asks her for a 6-digit authentication code. Alice grabs up her iPhone and gets a code from her authenticator app and types it into the website. After performing this second authentication step, Alice can access the portal. Now this works fine for websites we absolutely know and trust. For example, going to your bookmarked company portal page, it'll likely take you through to your single sign-on provider. However, let's say Alice receives a phishing email and clicks on the link to what she thinks is the company portal. What Alice doesn't realize is that the domain of the website she's been taken to is not exactly the same as the real company portal. She sees the login page, and without even thinking, she enters her login credentials into the legitimate looking sign-in page and the authentication code it asks for. Account compromised. Now the reason time-based one-time passwords fail our phishing test here is because there is no verification of the service to which Alice is signing in. It's up to Alice to decide whether or not the website is the real single sign-on page. Modern attacks like this easily trick users into divulging their credentials because of this fact. So we can say that time-based one-time passwords are not phishing resistant. Let's now look at Azure Multi-Factor Authentication with number matching. It's a bit of a mouthful and there's no official acronym. Look who's back, it's Alice. Again, she's trying to sign into her company portal. This time our single sign-on asks her to approve her sign-in on her phone. To finish approving the sign-in, she must also copy a number displayed on the single sign-on page to her phone. This is to make sure she can't just naturally click approve without thinking, as users may be used to doing. Don't be fooled though, just because it uses a notification to the device, Azure Multi-Factor Authentication with number matching does not protect us from the phishing attack we saw earlier. A bad actor can trigger the sign-in notification to the device just by loading the real sign-in page on their side at the same time as the user. Although it may be simple to set up on an organizational level, Azure MFA with number matching offers no more security than normal time-based one-time passwords. That's no phishing resistance. From a security perspective, it's effectively the same as time-based one-time passwords. Last but certainly not least, we have FIDO2 Security Keys. FIDO2 Security Keys attempt to tackle the issues otherwise holding back secure multi-factor authentication. It has a focus on ease of use without compromising security. Let's run through the technicalities quickly. This is Bob. Bob is registering his security key with his company portal. When Bob selects security key as his authentication device, the website sends over some details for the security key to process, including its domain, the user's ID, and a randomized challenge for the security key to sign. The security key then creates a new set of credentials for this website exclusive to the domain by signing the randomized challenge sent by the server with its own private key, and sends over details including credential ID, its own public key, and the signed challenge. The server then stores the credential ID and public key of the security key and ties them to the user's account. It can then use the public key of the security key on the account to verify future logins. FIDO2 eliminates any risk of phishing by tying every credential to the service's domain. For example, a credential created for Acme Corp may only ever be used with the domain of Acme Corp or any registrable domain suffixes thereof. This means it is impossible for Bob to even attempt to sign into the wrong place with a different credential. Additionally, for users, it's super easy to sign into any service with FIDO2 security keys. The service asks you to plug it in, you touch the user presence sensor on the key, and you are in. All in all, there's a clear winner. I'll leave you with this as a comparison of the methods. Again, no phishing resistance, insider threat resistance, or service identity verification with time-based one-time passwords, nor with Azure MFA with number matching. FIDO2 security keys, on the other hand, make it impossible to share a login unless you are in the same physical space, and they eliminate phishing with service identity verification. It's worth noting, although FIDO2 security keys are great, if an organization sets up other methods of multi-factor authentication as fallbacks, this can render the security advantages of FIDO2 totally redundant, so it's important to properly configure your tenant and to educate users of FIDO2 security keys of the importance of not losing their security keys.